What's up, guys? My name's Kyle Simon. I'm going to be running you through today's training here. Today's training is going to be on how to master algebra using the 3C algebra acceleration method over the next 12 weeks. Now, guys, I've been doing quite a bit of talking here today, so I apologize in advance if my voice sounds a little scratchy. Might have to pause for a few water breaks along the way, but I'm sure we're going to be able to make it through. I'm excited to have this conversation with you guys today because I know how important this program is going to be to a lot of students that might have been struggling over the past 6 months, year of the pandemic, doing online instruction, as well as way before then that might have missed it. So I'm excited to jump on into this here with you guys today. Let's get going. So before we dive in head first here into the program, I want to make sure that whoever's here is in the right spot. So this particular training, guys, is going to be for parents of 7th, 8th, or 9th grade students that are currently struggling with their algebra course, okay? If you're a parent that's been frustrated with how math is being taught in the current education system, and you might be seeing your child just struggling night after night as they sit down to do their homework, this is going to be a perfect training for you. You might also have seen maybe your child's trying to get additional help from the school, but is not seeing the success that they want, right? Maybe another tutor in the school is working with them, but is maybe just trying to push them to learn the content of the class that they're in. Maybe that's not going to be the right solution, guys. Maybe they need to actually go way back to the beginning and rebuild that math foundation. Could be. This is also geared towards students that are tired of feeling embarrassed and stressed out about math, guys. Math does not have to be hard if we have our basic skills mastered. And if we go ahead and put the time in and commit to the process, guys, math and algebra don't have to be a problem now or in the future. So if any of those criteria fits you guys, you're in the right place. So what I want you guys to think about is this, guys. I want you to imagine what would life be like if your child ran towards math instead of running away from it, right? What if they were excited about math instead of fearful? And what if their attitude shifted from an attitude of I can't do this to I can do this and I'm going to excel in math moving forward? How crazy of a shift would that be for many parents and students that are on this call? A lot of times your child has their basic fundamental skills. They need to have those mastered, guys, before they move on to future classes. And if they do that, man, everything else is a breeze, right? When we talk about classes like Algebra 1, Algebra 2, Geometry, Pre-Calculus, Trigonometry, if your student had fundamental skills mastered, they'd be cruising along in these classes, okay? The last thing I want you guys to think about is imagine if you didn't just have a math student. What if you had an independent problem solver that could go ahead and drive their own learning to get to those results that you guys are looking for? That's what this program is going to be about, guys. We've already done it with so many students. You can see here that we have a couple examples. Emily here said, just wanted to let you know Emily got an A on her test. And that's awesome, guys. When students are earning better grades in their classes, they're becoming more confident, right? And that is a perpetual thing. You start spiraling upward when you start seeing yourself gaining traction and starting to make progress. Could also be here, we have another student, his name is Merrick, aced another math quiz, right? He's been doing so well. I actually just spoke with him last week on a testimonial video, and he's earning right now a 99% in his algebra course. All of that is because he spent the time with me to master his basic fundamental skills in arithmetic, fractions, decimals, order of operations, solving equations. Those things are not hard for him anymore. If anything, they are second nature, guys, and it just comes so easy to him. Or you could be like Catherine here. Her son, she says, my son hated math. Every day his math homework had us all in tears. Kyle gave my son confidence and simplified math for him. He helped him to learn the patterns and strengthen his foundation. Math is becoming my son's favorite subject in a very short time working with Kyle. And I will be the first one to tell you guys that her son has come even further since then. Every time I speak with him, he is more secure in his math and he understands the principles that I've taught him thus far, which makes moving into future content so much easier. He picks it up so much. So before we actually dive in fully here, guys, let's make an agreement. Because the one thing that we can't do is just listen to this training and not take action. If you just go ahead and listen to this, it's just going to be more information that goes in one ear and out the other. But we got to go ahead and make sure we take action. So that could look like three different things here, guys. You could go ahead and share this video with your child. Maybe they're going to hear this and be like, yep, that's me. I have a shaky foundation that I need to kind of work through. The other thing is that you go ahead and implement the 3 steps that I lay out in this training yourself with your child. Totally acceptable. I just want to see you guys take action. Or third, you could learn a little bit more about the programs that we have and go ahead and start acting on those pieces and start putting a plan together so we can move your son or daughter from that place of math stress into that place of math peace. So I'm sure during this whole intro, guys, you could probably relate, right? If you have a child that feels stressed and frustrated with their algebra on a daily basis, that is a tough thing to deal with, right? A lot of tension in the house when it comes to math. We want to try to remove that. Your son or daughter might feel embarrassed that they can't figure out how the dots connect, right? It's easy for some students and it might not be for others. They might just be missing a critical piece of the puzzle, guys. And maybe you've even taken a step to try to hire a tutor, but your son or daughter is still struggling to master those basic skills. Well, sometimes just getting a tutor to help them where they are is just like putting a band-aid on the problem. We're not fixing the actual problem, we're just kind of addressing a symptom of a bad grade in a class. So we do have to make sure that we're putting the right plan in place. So you might be asking, how do I know this? Again, my name's Kyle Simon. I'm the founder of Breakthrough Tutoring in Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio. And I've had over a decade of experience, guys, working with students, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, all the way up to 12th grade in all levels of math, as well as ACT prep. And what I found, guys, is that every student was struggling with a common theme, okay? And so what we want to do is kind of draw out what those struggles are so that we don't make those in the future. Okay, so here is why these problems exist, right, guys? We want to dive in. Nobody wants to be this student with their head down on the table, beating the table because they can't figure out math. So what's the first problem that students are having when they're trying to be better at learning math? Well, the first one, guys, is that they're trying to climb the math mountain alone. You can see here we got 2 pictures. We got the guy who's struggling on the left. He's hanging, cliff hanging there by his fingers, and nobody's there to help him. And we also have the picture on the right where we have a team of people that are all striving for the same goal. And you can see them, they're helping each other up the mountain. This is the problem that a lot of students are struggling. We want to make sure that students are not siloing themselves off, but they are making sure that they're a part of a group that is committed to getting to the same goal. Okay? So when you think about climbing Mount Everest, you would never do it alone. You would want a team around you, and you would want a very experienced guide to get you to the top of that summit. So that's problem number 1, guys, that students need to address. Problem number 2 is that sometimes parents and students rely on the teacher or the tutor too much. Okay? A teacher or tutor is there to supplement learning. But the one thing that we need to realize with our students is that we want them to be independent, problem-solving adults that can drive their own learning. A lot of times I've worked with students that simply come into my sessions and they're just there to work on their homework, right? Whatever they got wrong, that's the problem. And sometimes it's the parent or sometimes it's me that's driving that student to want to learn. What we need to do, guys, is rewrite the script so that we actually allow the students to find their own motivation, to find their own drive, to start working on their math, even outside of class, so that when they do come to a session with a teacher or tutor, they are already ahead of the game and they're just there to get some of those really tough problems handled or maybe get that technique that they didn't have before. Problem number 3, guys, is just the in-person instruction. I know right now it is tough with COVID to meet in person. It's definitely not safe to be around people. We have our 6-foot distance from everybody. And sometimes in person becomes an inconvenience, right? When we think about the travel time to drive to a tutor, to drive home, to schedule it in amongst school, extracurriculars, sports, dinner, everything becomes a whole lot more complicated when you have to figure in that drive time, okay? The other thing that we can definitely do better at when we think about ditching kind of in person and moving to an online space is that the students are in a environment where they feel comfortable, where they feel relaxed, and where they can be productive. And the other thing that online instruction provides, guys, is the ability to have lesson recordings stored for your child, okay? A lot of the times when a student comes into a session and soon as they leave from that session, they probably have forgotten 70% of that material, okay? It's going to be a great thing to go back and say, hey, you know what? I need to go back and rewatch my lessons so I can get another refresher and understand the concepts that we are covering. And the final problem, guys, problem number 4, is that students are dealing with what I call math amnesia, okay? This is a real thing. If I think about the word amnesia, you know, when you think about somebody that's older that might have amnesia, it means that you are forgetting something, right? Maybe you got knocked on the head and you can't remember your name, where you're from, what you do for your job. You've lost it. And a lot of the times, guys, students are dealing with this as well. They have trouble recalling the information they learned earlier on in their tutoring session or in their class because they're not looking at math enough, okay? Students are not getting enough reps to actually build those techniques and those concepts into muscle memory. So when we look at what the schools are doing, well, they're just pushing forward and they're showing newer and newer concepts, but they're not allowing the students to go back and actually refine the skills that they learned in second, third, fourth, fifth grade, which is basic arithmetic, looking at fractions, decimals, things like that. So the other thing is that the students are not taking an initiative in driving their own learning. They're relying on others to do that. And a lot of times, guys, if students don't have the drive, they're never going to want to pick it up. So we definitely need to address that each time. So how do we get around these problems, guys? Well, I want to introduce you to the program that I have developed that has kind of been the just child of what I've been trying to put together in terms of all of my online tutoring that I've been doing over the past 5 years. And I call it my 3C Algebra Acceleration Method. Now, what leads to success with this program? Okay, guys, a lot of the times when students are learning, teachers and tutors are simply giving them strategies. They're giving them techniques, but they're not addressing 2 of the fundamental pillars. You can see here in our triangle pyramid model that strategies is at the top of the mountain. What's underneath that are layers that we need to develop in order for students to be able to even get to those strategies. The first one is going to be the environment, and the second one is going to be the routines and the habits that we put in place for our kids. So without these underlying foundational pieces, we're going to see kids continue to struggle and continue to fail. So if your goal is to help your child feel confident and love math, master their foundational math skills, ace their algebra course and be a leader in their class, and solve the math struggle once and for all, then you can't afford to leave this up to chance, guys. Allowing the school to just kind of say, yep, we'll get them there, is not good enough. We need to make sure we are taking action and we're helping our students build a solid foundation. So if you haven't done so already, guys, grab a pencil and paper or a pen. You're going to want to write this stuff down so that you have it for later once this call is over. So let's go ahead and dig into the 3C algebra acceleration method. So guys, my program has 3 different components to it. Step 1 is that we are going to have to help our kids commit to change. All right? Most students never define their goals or ever create any plans to reach them. They haven't even decided that that's where they want to go. They haven't set those goals, right? I want you to imagine all the people that sign up for a gym membership on January 1st. They're expecting to commit to this workout routine, right, guys? But what happens? After the second or third week, they're not there anymore, right? They've lost their motivation because they never actually had the commitment in the first place. It was more for vanity, right? They didn't have a deep enough why as to why they wanted to change. So when we think of an elite athlete, they are completely different, right? They don't leave it up to chance. What do elite athletes do that are playing football and baseball? Well, they find the right coaches, they find the right programs, and they find the right routines that are going to get them to that end goal, no matter what. A successful student, guys, must commit to the process and develop a positive mindset and create a plan as well. Okay? We can't leave this up to chance. And a lot of that has to deal with our mindset. We have to know that it's possible. We also have to see people that have already done it. When we see those things come out, we are on that mission to commit to change because we know it's possible. So, guys, don't let barriers get in your way. I love this. The size of your accomplishment will be measured by the size of your struggle. A lot of the times, students are going to run into barriers. They're going to run into roadblocks. But a lot of times, guys, we have to realize that those struggles are the things that are pushing us outside of our comfort zone so that we can actually be in an environment where we can actually grow. So roadblocks and barriers are good. We just have to fight through them and not quit. So just to sum it up, guys, we have to commit to change. So the question that as a parent and a student you have to ask yourself is, how bad do you want this? Are you in enough pain right now to say, yeah, I need to go back and I need to prepare my mindset. I need to evaluate my habits. I need to develop a plan. And I need to make a promise to myself right now, no matter what, that I'm not going to quit on this journey, okay? We want to help your kids become an elite math athlete, okay? Somebody that is going to make that decision now, and even when they might not want to work on their math, they do it anyways because we're building in that commitment. Step 2, guys, once we have that commitment, is that we are looking to help students conquer their math skills, okay? Not just higher level math skills, but foundational math skills, okay? When we think about students, they don't practice their fundamental skills enough to reach that point of mastery, okay? So you might be asking, well, what is mastery? Mastery is a point where if I put any problem down in front of them, they would instantly be able to react and know what to do with that problem. They would also be able to vocalize what it is that's happening and the steps that they're taking to reach that end goal. Vocalization, guys, is key to understanding as well as relaying information to somebody else that doesn't understand. If you can teach, you officially know what's going on. All right? So here's what I want you to imagine, okay? Someone who wanted to do martial arts, if they told you they were only going to practice once a month, do you think that person is going to be in a position where they are confident in the skills of that typical martial art like Kung Fu or Taekwondo? Or what would happen, guys, if they were actually put in a situation where they had to use these skills? Well, guess what? I think we're all on the same page that if a student was only practicing once a month, they're probably not going to have confidence, nor are they going to have the muscle memory to execute any of those movements that they've been shown in the past. So we don't want your math student to be like that. So what does that mean? Well, we need to move forward and be looking at our math skills more than once a month, more than once a week. So that's what we're looking at, guys, right? The elite martial arts student is dedicated to their studies, and they know that can do the same. Okay? Now, what's going to happen when you start getting a lot of those reps? Well, you might fail, but that's good, guys. We want you to fail forward, okay? I love this quote. The master has failed more than the beginner has ever tried. I love this because it shows that someone who is dedicated to their craft has tried so many times and they know how to adapt in different situations to make something work. The beginner, though, they might fail the first time and simply quit. So we want to steer our students away from simply just being a beginner. We want to continue to fail, continue to grow, and get feedback so that we can learn from it. So just to sum up step 2, guys, we have to conquer your fundamental math skills. We want to build your skills from the ground up with no gaps so that you are complete, that you are solid, and you can teach others along the way. So we want to learn your skills from the ground up. Master our basic arithmetic rules. Learn to speak the language of math. Math is just like French or Spanish, guys. We want to learn how to write it, how to read it, how to speak it. And if we do that, we can learn to overcome the fear of word problems. So many students struggle in this area. They see words and they instantly begin to panic. We want to help students get over that challenge. We want to help you build up your math muscle memory so that everything is automatic and we've developed a habit. And our third step here in the 3C Algebra Acceleration Program, guys, is to challenge yourself to grow. Okay? When we think about growth, we can't just stay stagnant. Okay? If you were a weightlifter and you stopped lifting weights for 1 year, your muscles would atrophy and die, right? They would become so weak because we're not challenging them. So what do we have to do? Well, in order to continually grow, what do weightlifters do? They up the amount of weight and increase it so that their muscles periodically grow over time. Okay? By increasing the difficulty of the problems they're solving in order to keep their mental skills up, that's what students have to do as well. Okay? We have to keep challenging our students with harder and harder problems to continue to push them outside of their comfort zone. So we can see here that this girl might be afraid of heights, but she's continually trying to climb that ladder and push what she typically sees as being possible. So sometimes the things we hate the most are the things we need the most, guys, because they make us stronger, right? Working on our fundamentals might not be the coolest thing ever, but I guarantee you that if you spend the time right now to do it, you do what is hard right now, life will be easier in the future. So just to sum it up, guys, step 3 is to challenge yourself. The only limit that there can be is the one that we place on ourselves. So remember, do one more problem. Ask for harder questions if you're feeling bored. See how good your endurance is, right? Maybe we want to do longer sets of problems to see how good our focus is. Maybe we want to put in place self-study habits so that we are automatically prepping, right? And we also want to prep for the impossible, guys, right? We don't want to keep trying easy problems. We want to try things that are outside our comfort zone so that we can stretch what is physically possible for us. And just remember, guys, the choices you make today will determine the person you are tomorrow. So guys, just to sum up the 3C Algebra Acceleration Method, we had 3 steps. Step 1 was to commit to change. Without altering the student's mindset and helping them find their own motivation and drive, they're never going to get to that point where they have math mastery. Step two is that we have to put them in a position where they are not just learning their fundamental math skills, but conquering them. We want to get to that point of mastery where they can instantaneously solve a lot of their fundamental math problems and also vocalize what they're doing. And step three, guys, is to challenge yourself to grow. Okay, we got to help our students push outside that comfort zone, try harder and harder things, because as we try harder things, we become more complete, we become more developed, and we are more secure in our fundamental skills. So guys, this program is already helping students already. We can see here from these reviews, Michelle stated, I wanted to let you know of a wonderful math tutor that's helped my daughter immensely. She worked with him over the course of a couple years off and on, and now math is her favorite subject. She went from D's to A's, from tears to confidence. Once my daughter took a few steps backwards and learned the fundamentals, she was never really learned everything, started to make sense. So guys, this is a great example of somebody that was struggling and went backwards, started at the beginning, and continued to move forward. Okay? It could also be like Grace. Grace said, I also wanted to thank you for all the help, encouragement, and support you provided me with through the last 5 years. Without you, I definitely would not have reached the success I did in the classroom with math and on the ACT. You really gave me the confidence in myself and my abilities, which nobody really did before. So when I first started working with Grace, again, she was in that place where she was struggling. And it wasn't because she was struggling with higher level math, but she was struggling with her basics, which was causing problems down the line. So once we went back and fixed those things, guys, she conquered her basics and then went on to ace every other math course that she took. And when I worked with her for ACT prep, she killed. So, to those of you guys that have made it this far in the training, congrats. I'm glad you guys made it this far. And if you guys remember back at the beginning of the training, we were trying to make an agreement, right? We said, hey, learning this information is great, but we have to go ahead and take action on this in order to see changes in our lives as well as our sons and daughters' lives as well. So remember, guys, information without implementation leads to frustration. This plays out in my life all the time. I know it does with everybody else. You feel frustrated when we're stagnant, when we're not moving and we're not making any progress. The ultimate joy, guys, comes from getting through struggles and making progress in what we're doing. Okay? So, two choices, guys. You can take the information, you can implement it, you can go ahead and try to kind of work into that, commit to change, conquering the basics, and also challenging your students. This is going to be more of a trial and error approach if you take it on your own. But you could also say, hey, you know what? I don't know exactly the plan in place, and you might want your child to become a math expert in the shortest amount of time, right? You might want to take control of your child's education, and you might need to help your child find the environment that's going to be optimal for their learning. And that might be in the 3C Algebra Acceleration Method. So what I've done, guys, is I've set aside some time, guys, to help you guys build out a plan to see if I can go ahead and help you. I'll be honest with you. One of my programs might be ideal for your student, and sometimes it might not. But what we can do is we can go ahead and set up a time to talk, figure out where your student is, where they want to go, and start putting together those checkpoints that they need to hit in order to reach those goals. So you guys can go ahead and go to the link shown here and go ahead and set up a student success session with me. For 30 minutes, we can go ahead and talk through those pieces. Now, before we jump off the call, guys, I just want to talk about these three individuals and what they have in common. So we have Michael Jordan, professional basketball player, Jeff Bezos, CEO. We also have Eric Yuan, CEO of Zoom, which is getting a lot of use here over the past year. What do all three of these people have in common, guys? Well, they realized that in order to get to their dream state, right, they had to put people around them that were committed, motivated, driven, had the skills, had the coaches to help them get to that place, right? So each one of them recognizes that they can't do it on their own. They can't climb solo. In order to get to the top of the mountain that they're climbing, they need to have people in place in a group that's all going in the your student needs to develop that environment to help them get there. They need to be motivated to drive to the top. And I want to help them get there. If you guys want to go ahead and schedule a success session with me, here's the link below. It's been awesome hanging out with you guys today. I hope you guys learned something from this training. And if you haven't joined the Algebra Help for Parents group, please go ahead, join that group, and I'd be happy to help you during one of our sessions here soon. All right, guys, I hope everybody has a great weekend. We'll talk to you soon.